little regular one here.
So we ready here?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great pick, buddy. Just
We'll
stick
find
with
out
the
after we
name
pour.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've had a few misses with the beer choices when you always go craft.
Right.
But cheers.
Okay, well, cheers.
Thanks for having me down.
And thanks for having me on, buddy. Hey, thanks for being in the REC experience. Yes, you heard that properly. Because I don't know if you're watching anymore or if you're listening through one of our podcast platforms or even reading our content on medium.com, but you're listening to right now or watching your buddy Jas Takhar and your girl Laura Elto Stewart.
So
what's going on?
That's new.
I know.
You're changing it up.
Yes, because now anyone who is part like an REC insider or hearing, watching, reading about our content, you're in the REC experience.
You're in it. And we're everywhere.
And we got new mugs. Cheers to you.
Cheers. I wish this wasn't tea. I wish it was beer.
I got coffee today.
Why did I say beer?
Well, good point. Because we had our buddy, Andrew, from Over a Pint podcast, come and join us for this week's episode. And I really had a lot of fun with him because he turned the tables on me.
Well, first of all, I'm jealous.
Why is that?
Because we should be taste testing beers on all of our podcasts.
I get it. I know.
Like, I really like beer.
That's his thing now. And so I'm not going to take that from Andrew. He's awesome. Like I said, so you guys are going to be listening to or watching me being on his podcast.
Yes, that was neat to see you as the guest instead of the host.
Yeah, so we thought we would give you guys an opportunity to hear a little bit about my story as well as how REC Experience started. Lots of tips. It will sound like a lot of the tips and advice are for realtors and or mortgage brokers, but it's really for any entrepreneur or business person, going into detail what we do here and a lot of my strategies that I use in terms of building culture, a lot of sales and service tips and stuff.
But you guys also talked a little bit about just why, how to do a podcast and why and how to get started. So I think for even people that are looking to get into that side of things, that could be
from any perspective, right? It could be, like I
helpful.
said, any type of entrepreneur. But I also want to take this opportunity, Laura, to talk to our peeps a little bit about our busy week that we've had. With the new condo launch that we've done.
No, we haven't been busy. I've gotten lots of sleep.
Yeah. Our whole team, shout out to everyone, Simeon, Tyler, Alla, Jelaine, Rasha, Shemi, who have been working tirelessly to make sure all of our clients are being serviced with the white glove / world-class service that we like to provide. But our investors got into a really cool opportunity right in Toronto. And for those that don't know, we are brokers. We are real estate brokers.
Real estate.
We sell real estate. We don't like to talk.
This is our side hustle.
Yeah, I love that. We don't like to talk about it too much because we don't want to come off salesy. This really is a medium that we like to use for helping people, getting advice from a real estate entrepreneurship and leadership perspective. But we do help a lot of buyers, sellers, investors. In fact, this past week, we were also awarded. I love getting trophies and showing them. It is.
You didn't get any when you were a kid, did you?
I got a lot in soccer, at least.
Sure. Yeah, participation trophies.
Yeah, well, you know what? I should bring in some. But this guy right here, big shout out to Royal LePage Canada. They had awarded us the number 3 team in all of Canada for sales. And so we helped a little over 650 buyers, sellers, and investors last year. Big shout out to all of our loyal clients who have now obviously become friends and family to us, right?
Definitely. This kind of award is kind of for them.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Thank
you. If we've never met before, we hope to meet with you at some point, and that could be through a Zoom video call. It could be. We'd love to meet you face to face. Our head office is in Toronto. But what else, man?
Before you close off today,
yes.
What came up on your Facebook feed? a year ago this week.
Great point. I
How you
totally
gonna
forgot
forget
about that. I
that?
totally forgot about that. As you know, if anybody on Facebook, you get that like 1 year reminder. And I saw the first post we made for the podcast.
Our very first podcast, March
Right.
12th, was our launch date of
So-
episode 1.
Big shout out to you, Elto.
It's crazy to
Congrats.
think.
Big
What
shout
a
out to
year.
Simeon. He's not here right now, but big shout out to him because he's always been, just pushing for this and wanting this to get done. And it's, for a year.
Well, he's our biggest fan.
He definitely is our biggest fan. He and all of us just were, we were hoping that one person would be listening, and now a year later we're syndicated right through to 175,000 listeners through Industry Syndicate right across the continent, and it all started as a dream, like just a thought.
Just one measly little podcast.
Yeah. We were like, who even listens to podcasts?
Nobody. No one cares about podcasts.
Yeah, I know.
But that's what I thought at least. But
Yeah,
here we are.
Here we are, and it's been a year. It's been a whirlwind.
It's been a fun time. for
And
sure.
we can't wait. So today is season 3, episode 11.
Yeah.
With Andrew. And guys, as always, if you have not subscribed, please take a second to do so, either on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes. At any time, feel free to get in touch with us. Even if you have what you might think the silliest or smallest question might be from a real estate perspective, bother us. Because what I always like to say is that the second you stop bothering us is when we're going to have a problem.
Don't let Jazz's phone not ring.
Yeah. info@reccanada.com. You guys know how to get to us. Enjoy this podcast. As always, Elto, thank you for your time.
You bet.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye.
REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Jas Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air.
Welcome to the latest episode of Over a Pint. This week, we're down in a professional studio. It's not mine, but we're here with Jas Takhar from the REC Experience. What do you say, Rec Experience?
You know what? I mean, it's been taking its own kind of verbiage now. A lot of people would say REC or Rec Experience. Yeah.
Nice.
So it stands for Real Estate Center. Okay. Again, thanks for coming over and coming to our studios, and you can make use of this anytime you want, buddy. So call it home to you yourself as well. Love what you're doing, Andrew. Again, my name is Jas Takhar. Very excited to be on your podcast and your show today. So REC again stands for Real Estate Center. We are a team of 35 people. That consists of majority realtors, but I have a lot of support staff, myself and my partner. We're under the umbrella of Royal LePage Canada. We were just awarded, not to toot our own horn, but since you asked, we are the number 3 team in Canada for all of Royal LePage in Canada. And I've been doing this for close to 15 years now.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So this week,
Yes.
we're drinking The Boss, an East Coast IPA, because it's made by Syndicate Brewing Company. And Jas just joined the syndicate that my buddy Jason Fraser started.
Yeah, shout
so
out
I
to
thought
Jason.
I'd give him a little regular one here.
So we ready here?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great pick, buddy. Just
We'll
like
find
with
out
the
after we
name
pour.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've had a few misses with the beer choices when you always go craft.
Right. So how many episodes now?
We filmed, I think, 38 or 39. I think we've aired 34.
And now, in all honesty, out of those episodes, has there been any times where you said, ugh, this beer sucked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't like stout beer.
Okay.
That's like the only beer I'm just like, that's gross. And I had to do stout beer for an episode. And yeah, I did not like it. And there's been a few where I'm like, like it was fine, but I would never drink it again.
Right.
So, yeah, it happens. But cheers.
Okay, well, cheers.
Thanks for having me down.
And thanks for having me on, buddy.
That's not bad.
I actually like it. I like the flavor.
That works. So, yeah, that
definitely gonna
is
finish this.
the Syndicate Brewing.
Shout out to the
for it.
guys at Syndicate.
Yeah,
So,
they did a good job.
how long have you known Jason and those guys? So I know you mentioned David Greenspan as well.
So now it'll be, I think, 2 years in May.
Okay.
We did a speaker boot camp.
Okay.
So do you know who Jeff Lobb is?
No, I don't know the name.
So he's a big like U.S. coach and speaker. He owns Spark Tank Media.
Yeah.
So really amazing speaker.
Okay.
And he brought us. So he did this like boot camp, 2-day workshop. I think it was like capped at 15 people.
Okay.
And to teach people how to be better speakers.
Interesting.
And so it was like the three of us. Amy Youngren was there.
No, Amy.
So it was a good group of, and then a lot of people from the U.S. as well, of just trying to become better speakers. And it was awesome. But we became pretty tight because like what we do is he runs through a bit of like, okay, here's how you structure things, but the main part of it is you go up on stage in front of only 15 people, do a 10-minute presentation, and then the 15 people rip apart your presentation and tell you, here's what sucked, here's what you got to do better, here's what we didn't like, here's how it made us feel, here's what it should have made, like the full like in-depth.
I love that because you immerse yourself into it.
Yeah.
It's 15 people, not 150 people, which I think would be easier for most people starting out.
Speaking, it's actually easier to go to a bigger crowd like that, I found, because when it's the small one, it's almost like you're making eye contact with everyone. Whereas when it's a crowd, you can kind of just gaze into the crowd without actually looking at anyone.
Right.
So the smaller the crowd, sometimes the harder it can get.
And sometimes with the lights coming in, you can't even see the people. So it's like, there's no one even there.
Yeah, that's what I found. Like up to like 200 people.
Yeah.
So like that 100 to 200 is just whatever. 2 to 5, it's like a little bit bigger. And then I think like the 500 and up.
Right.
The crowd has like its own noise. And like normally there's enough lights that you can't see anything. Like it's... But once you're over, I think the biggest I've done is 2,000.
Nice.
I think once you're over about 800, there's no difference to me to that 800 to the 2,000.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
You get a good, like you still get that rush and that thrill from doing it?
Yeah, like it's a lot of fun. So like we had some really fun ones too. I actually love the ones where everything screws up. But there's a lot of part because of this thing with Jeff Lobb and like Jason and David is day 2. One of the things he did was, okay, now repeat your presentation.
Okay.
But I'm going to screw with you. So he's turning off your mic. He's dumping your slides. He's picking up his phone, having a loud conversation in the middle of it. He's like, because this is all going to happen to you, so you might as well learn how to deal with it.
Can you pick any topic? So when you're going to get like picked on by the 15 people, it's your topic, whatever you want to.
So it's whatever you're going to be talking about when you go do your thing.
Oh, pretty cool.
It's basically like it doesn't even matter. Like you go up and talk about like Bugs Bunny, and it's more about just like becoming a better speaker. I mean, obviously you want to use your regular topic, because we do work a bit on the idea of like, okay, here's what your topic was. Here's maybe how you should rearrange some slides, and like here's how you can bring this back at the end to really hit a point home. So you do want to bring, but it's also only a 7 to 10 minute presentation because it's a big group, short time.
Yeah.
So like my regular presentations are normally 40 to 60 minutes.
Okay.
So you're basically just taking your main thesis, dropping it in, you're losing everything else.
Interesting.
So,
how often does that happen? Like how often do you guys do that?
I think that's the only one he's done as like a public one. Then he does private ones. So like you can hire him to come and do like private ones. So I mean, I hope he does it again.
Right.
But that's such a sub niche of speakers in real estate.
Yes.
That it's hard to do that too much.
Yeah, that's true. Dustin, I don't know if you met Dustin Braun. I've
had a few chats with him online.
Okay, because I know him and Jason are very, very close. And that's how actually I heard about the syndicate. Yeah. Originally came from Justin in London, Justin Conico, who you should think about doing this with him too in London. Amazing guy, just up to a lot of cool stuff. Introduced me to Dustin, who introduced me to Jason, and the syndicate now is 14 hosts deep, with a reach of approximately 170,000, 175,000 listeners.
So those who don't know what the syndicate is, maybe give them like a quick, here's what that is.
Yeah, so the syndicate with the founders, Jason, Dustin, and Phil, they figured that there's a lot of new people coming out with podcasts, and essentially put together the industry syndicate where all the hosts came together and started to do collaborations, having each other on our shows, but also just promoting the industry syndicate. So, the old saying, two people are better than one because you just get more brain. So we share a lot of ideas. The neat thing that we found is our listenership, there's a lot of crossover. Right, and so even though Dustin is in Utah and doing his thing, talking to specifically realtors, where my show is with all entrepreneurs, listeners now can. It's almost like a buffet. They can pick what they wanted to pick, like what they feel like listening to that day or that week. I dubbed the industry syndicate as the dream team of podcasters, because they're just cool, right? It's really neat to have all these hosts right across the continent, and just do a lot of collaborations.
That's fun.
Yeah, man, it's really neat, and some of the top guys and gals are on this, and I love the fact that there's a chat group that we're on. We're always sharing ideas. So one of the guys had an idea to do a flash briefing, didn't know where to start. No. Chelsea, host, said, you know what, I just did a YouTube video on it, go check it out. We all went and saw it and learned so much about it, right? So just having that collaboration and the sharing of ideas was huge.
So do you do a flash briefing?
I'm about to start, as my team is behind us right now. They know we have a Tuesday production meeting, and last Tuesday, that was one of the main things that I'm on, is starting the flash briefing. So after actually watching Chelsea, so shout out to Chelsea, it's something that I need to get on. It's probably the one piece of content that we're not really doing right now. Yeah. That's how the podcast started, right? It was just an idea. I've been in sales and service for a little over 23 years. I've always been really good with just on the phone. I'm not an emailing guy. I'm a face-to-face or on the phone guy. And that's when I said, you know what, I need to start the podcast. Started the podcast, one small little mic. It's actually right behind you there, the blue there. And got some people listening and giving me some feedback and saying, you know what, Jas, it's good. And what if you did this topic, mostly real estate, for the first 10, 12 episodes. Now we've spread out and we speak with entrepreneurs and people in leadership. And that's when then the camera started coming out. I went to go see Ryan Serhan in New York. And my executive producer, Laura Stewart, was like, well, we got to tape. She was just a fan of him. She just wanted to see, she wanted to be on tape with him. And so we got the cameras rolling. From there, we brought on full-time videographer, full-time graphic designer, copywriter, and now it's like, I got to do this flash briefing, man. Are you doing any?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I've thought about it, but I just haven't come up with a spin on it that I like. I could do daily marketing tips, things like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't found a hook. Because even for this show, over Pint, that was a thing. It was mostly inspired by two shows.
Okay.
One was Hot Ones on YouTube, if you've ever seen that.
The chicken, the chicken wings and stuff. Yeah.
So what I loved about...
I want to get on that because I can eat a lot of spice.
I would love to.
But I'm not sure how long I would. I don't think I would make it to the end.
I could make it to the end, but I'm going to feel it the next day.
Yeah.
So I love... And what I love about that is the first 3 or 4, they're guarded because they're doing a regular media interview. But then they get so hit by the heat, they let the guard down because they're thinking about how miserable they are, not about, okay, I got to protect my brand and image. They're just being real people now. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what can I do to kind of foster an environment like that?
I think I know where you're going with this.
Came up with alcohol. Which has worked pretty well. I've also figured out, because not everyone drinks.
Right.
So we've, done episodes with, water, kale smoothies. One guy wanted it to look like beer, so he put in apple juice.
I saw the smoothie one. I forget who that was
Dean
with.
Jackson.
That's, yeah.
Because that was, we started that at, 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So I'm like, let's do it.
What is the earliest that you've had a beer?
7.
On the show. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
We did not air that episode. We were at a conference.
Okay.
And... It was conferences can get out of hand may not be the right word, but we were out to 2:30.
Okay.
And the bar closed, and there's a group of 10 people. They're like, let's keep drinking. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink, but I want to keep hanging out because I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And so we're back in someone's room at 2:30 in the morning. He's like, why have I never been on the show? And I'm like, because you don't live anywhere near me. You're a flight away.
Yeah.
And it's in person only. He's like, well, let's do it here. I'm in person. I'm like, well, literally, the only time I have is before the conference starts tomorrow because then I have to duck out. He's like, all right, let's do it. 7 a.m. We're doing it. So
a couple of hours of sleep.
Yeah, a couple hours of sleep, and then I get the call, and it was at this point it was 7:15. He's like, so are we still doing this? And I think both of us wanted to say no.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to be the one to say no first.
No one to be,
so that was the least energetic one ever. So we've since refilmed it when we were at another conference together.
Okay. You should bring that in as a bloopers episode or something, right?
Well, luckily, there ended up being kind of technical difficulties, so I couldn't really air it anyways.
Right.
Yeah, that was a rough...
Well, not surprising that you had some technical difficulties either, right?
It was not my proudest moment as the host of a show.
Well, look, man, I've been watching you doing your thing, Andrew. I think the value that you're bringing to realtors, and I guess I'm sure you do. There's some crossover, with mortgage professionals and stuff like that, right?
Not a ton with mortgage. We've had a few mortgage people on. More, it's been digital marketers, that's been like more the branch out.
Right.
Because like I'm in some of my own networking things for digital marketers outside of the industry.
Right.
And that's where I find the most interesting ideas come from, is leaving the industry. So for me, it's been more going that route. I mean, I've had a few, like my buddy owns a really successful bakery up in Newmarket.
Right.
So I had him on. One, because I thought it'd be interesting. Two, because I also wanted to show agents how they could do something similar locally. Because I think if I went back to sales, I would just do over a pint, but with people in my town.
Oh my God.
Like it would be the exact same strategy.
100%.
And I would love to do that. So I was just like, I did one with my buddy. One, because how they grew. Like they started maybe 6 months before I started mine. And his husband and wife started a bakery, done really well. So I was like, it's an interesting story of how they grew it, because they and a lot of their promotions all Instagram based, which agents can embrace, because Instagram's really great for that.
Right.
And then again, just as that example. So
I mean, I talk to my team all the time, Andrew, like about not like getting content out. And what I find them struggling with is either just turning the camera on.
yeah.
A lot of them actually turn the camera on, shoot something, and then never post it.
Oh yeah. But at least you're starting.
Yeah, I totally agree. What I'm really trying to drive home to some of my team members is, if you're not comfortable with the camera, and if you're not comfortable with the mic, maybe you're comfortable with the pen. And just like okay to write, right? And if you could just start somewhere, because you made the point, right? Like if you were going to go back into sales, I mean, I'm still in sales. It's not why I started the podcast. It's funny what happened with the podcast, that we picked up more sales because we were really focusing all of our energy and time on branding. But as the podcast got out and noise got out, people were just talking about it.
Yeah.
And then you picked up all this peripheral and cross-pollination business because people are just talking about the podcast, right? I really hope if there's anyone watching and listening who has not yet started getting some type of content out, like you got to. You know, I was laughing. I did a panel with our organization here is about 1,100. So I did a little talk for our Mississauga location, and there was a couple hundred people, and we were just talking about getting content out. And I said, if you don't, they're probably going to see something I'm doing, and I don't mean this from an egotistical perspective. It's just that they might see something that we're doing, my team or myself, and they're going to come on over to us, like get some content out.
It works. And like I actually talk about this in some of my presentations now. Is because people are just like, all you hear is you gotta do video, you gotta do video, you gotta do video. And I love video. Like you can see I do this. I have my Facebook
You're good
group.
on the camera though, right? Like it's
used to be complete crap.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
So it's actually funny. The reason I started it with beer too was I was having a drink with my buddy Kelly Scar, who's out in Calgary, and he literally said to me like, "How are you so like engaging and good when we're having a beer together? But you're so dull when I see you on camera." So I was like, guess I got to get a beer on camera.
Well, that's easy, right? Like you pretty much like put that together quite quickly. Okay.
Yeah. So and that's the biggest thing, is just doing it. Like when I decided to start the show, it was a week later I was filming my first episode.
Right.
With Tim Hudak in his office.
Right.
Which was funny because he got a complaint about drinking in the Urea office, which was hilarious.
Okay,
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was basically everyone's collective reaction. Yeah. But yeah, it's been just a lot of fun. But like I talk about it all the time, is don't overrate video, because not everyone even wants to consume it. Because think about, and this is the example I give when I do my talks now when I'm talking about like written versus video, is how many people have clicked on like an article on Facebook,
right,
gone to like the site, and it was a video, so you left because you didn't want to watch it.
Yep.
Generally 2/3 of the room will put their hands up at that.
Yep.
And I'm like, right there shows you there's place for different types of content. Video is, I think it's gone too far that now it's become overrated. It's still amazing.
Yes.
But it's slightly overrated as like the end all be all, like this will guarantee explosion of your business.
I totally agree with you. The only caveat that I have to that is that if you're thinking about like where we are now in our evolution of REC experience, that I have a lot of full-time people on staff. So don't even think you need to start there.
Oh, you can do my setup.
I love your setup. My boy Clem here, who's my videographer, he's worried because he might lose a job now because I didn't know how easy it was. I still love you, Clem. You're good. You're safe. You have nothing to worry about. However, what I like about video is that it allows you to rip out so many micro pieces of content, right? So from the video, you can rip out the audio. Spencer is in the room as well. He's taking notes, and he's going to somewhat transcribe, not fully transcribe our conversation, but I'll add some context to it. It's really is the Gary V content model, right?
Well, I figured that it was, since you got the whole Gary V inspired setup here.
It's someone who I was following a couple of years ago, took kind of a break just from following him, came back and said, that's it, I'm just going to execute now. There's no more bullshitting. I'm going to go ahead and execute it. So far, we've been getting really good feedback, but more importantly, we're learning a lot.
Yeah.
We're learning a lot,
That's the biggest underrated part of having a show like this, is getting FaceTime with people who know it, like having that opportunity. Like Phil Soper, see over the page. I got 2.5 hours with him in his office over beers.
If you haven't seen his episode with Phil Soper, go check it out. Like, it feels awesome.
Yeah,
he's like a wealth of knowledge. I actually called him the techiest, nerdiest CEO that we have in the country.
Well, he comes from the tech industry.
I know, that's why we didn't know, because the episode that we did, he was just like went crazy about all the tech stuff, AR and VR. He knew it all, right?
Yeah,
really smart guy.
Yeah, so it's that, even if no one watches your show, just that ability to get the FaceTime with people and like build the relationships. Because, like, what are the odds? For instance, like, you and I would have sat down for an hour or two.
I know.
Otherwise.
It's so true.
Like, that's what's so much fun about these things.
Well, you talking about if you went back into sales, like, if you're in sales now, and you don't have to have an hour or 30-minute, you don't have to come up with your own glass. Like, it's literally just go out and talk to the bakery shop owners and the pizza guys. And if you put out that video now out on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or all platforms, don't you think the bakery owner is going to want to help you and get you some business as well, right? And the pizza shop and the dry cleaner and the mayor and the it's very, very simple, right?
I wish I could remember the name of the newspaper. I was reading this study of newspapers, how like all their ad sales were declining, they're all losing revenue, except there was this one that was actually like increasing their revenue.
Okay.
And the reason that they credit it to is every single like article and thing that they do, they try to at least mention one person locally. Whether like it could be as simple as like, say it was a story about Obama, it would have been like, and local resident Jane thinks this about this. But because they know that what's going to happen is now Jane's going to buy it and send it and also tell her friends about it.
I'm quoted in the newspaper for sure.
Because no matter what, as great as like a Facebook post is, like being quoted in the newspaper, as much as it's like an outdated medium, people like it's a nice ego boost.
It's still a cool thing to have,
like
right?
When I was selling, I got front page of my local newspaper.
Right.
And I loved it. And the only reason I got there is I called up the guy and I was like, I want to be on the front page. And we came up with an article. I don't have to pay for it because like I'm like, I don't want to pay for an ad.
Right.
Here's some stuff I'm doing. You want to do an article about it?
I love that you had the to go call and just say, let me on, right?
Well, they all need stories.
They all need content.
That's a struggle for them too, is what do I write about this week? Like, especially in small towns, there's not a lot going on with a lot of them so I was like, so at the time it was, I was thinking, okay, December's really slow for me in real estate. What can I do? So I started Light Up Aurora, which was a Christmas light competition.
Oh, cool.
So I was I'm going to grade and then go on Facebook and you can vote for your favorite one. And I just called the newspaper. I'm like, hey, write an article about it. And I got full page, like, picture of me at the Santa Claus parade. It was perfect.
That's been a huge thesis of mine for the last, 12 months is to the team again and to all realtors. I just was on a call with a realtor from Remax who saw some stuff that I'm doing on Instagram and just wanted to kind of pick my brains. And my advice to him was, like, whatever you do, try not to talk about real estate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I really want to get your points because you're all over the continent, Andrew, in that sense, and you're meeting a lot more realtors than I am, that if you can just speak about anything else and build some rapport.
So there is a place for real estate, though, too.
Yes.
So as an example, I have a friend, Stephanie Arnold out west, who runs, like, the Unreal Estate Show with Keith Roy, who's a big team leader out there. Mm-hmm. But they take a different spin on it, too, because he does a lot of speaking. Like, he's even gone over to, like, Europe to speak to Remax stuff there. But when they were in Iceland, they just grabbed a local agent from Iceland and like, how does real estate work here?
I like that.
And so then so people who are just like, because they realize a lot of people are nerds about real estate like them.
So true.
So let's give them more of that nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, let's talk to an agent from Vancouver about how it works here. Then let's go to someone from Toronto. How does it work there? Let's go to someone in Muskoka, how it works there. And then Iceland, how it works there. And then you just go around the world.
Yeah.
learning throughout the world, because it's so like how it works in Canada and the U.S. We're the only place in the world that works like this.
I know, so different.
So it's so interesting. You start talking to people, and even within different places, like look at BC. There's no dual agency now.
Right.
So like imagine how like a team your size, how you would do it if you literally weren't allowed to double end.
That's so true.
So like I was talking, I had the Stone Sisters on from Kelowna. They're breaking off the Stone Sisters, so like the two team leaders, onto their own sub brokerage.
Okay.
The rest of the team staying at the old brokerage. So all the listings will come to the team leaders, but their team is still part of the old brokerage. Now it's not dual agency. So now they have to like come up with these.
But I love how they figured that. They're very creative.
Yeah, they're brilliant. And it's like, you never learn that if you don't sit down and see what other people are doing. Because now if that change comes here, which is possible.
For sure.
I don't think it will, because I think Tim Hudak's done a pretty good job at stopping that, but you never know.
Yep.
But now, like, if that happens right away, all I have to do now is this, and we get around that.
When did you get out of sales? When did you stop selling?
It was. So this company will be 4 years in July. Then I was with Remax as a trainer for 14 months. So, yeah, about 5 years ago. I only sold for a couple of years.
Okay.
Like I did everything. I tried the cold calling, tried the door knocking, but Facebook ads and blogging was where I kind of found my sweet spot.
So you are a big, like you like the long form writing, and is that working?
Yeah, like all of my articles were generally over about 1,000 words.
Interesting.
Because like I figured if someone's going to buy, they spend at the time the average in Aurora was about $500,000.
Right.
If someone's spending $500,000, they're going to read 1,000 words. So I started doing things like I do profiles of the local schools. So it'd be like 1,000 words on this school, and then 1,000 words on this school, and at the bottom I just put, and if you want to search for homes in this school district, click here and I'll send you a list of homes in this area.
Well, I'm glad we're venturing back into it now. That's why I make mention of Spencer, because that's what he does on our team, is the long form writing.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a huge place for it, specifically medium.com.
Yeah.
150 million users a month. Excuse me, like the YouTube for writers and readers. But yeah, I'm glad that I got that context out of you.
And the way I kind of set it up, which worked well, is I treated it kind of like, I tried to set it up in a way that you could go down the rabbit hole like people do on Wikipedia, where like, as an example, I remember I was studying in university with my friend Amanda, and we were studying the Russian Revolution, and 2 hours later, just through clicking on Wikipedia, we ended up learning about the band Journey. Like it was, like we went down the rabbit hole and went all over, and I'm like, why don't I bring that experience to my site?
Okay.
So like I do 1,000 word thing about a school, and then he happens to mention, then this school fair that we do.
Interesting.
Hyperlink, now I have 1,000 word article about the school fair.
Oh, okay.
And then I just kind of kept, and anything that got mentioned added to the list of, I'm going to talk about this.
Spencer, you listening back there, buddy? Okay.
And then the other side, which worked well, so like I had like a theme. So it was like every Monday was Ask a Realtor.
Okay.
And I just take questions and I'd answer them. So like my most popular post ever is, what does a bully offer? Because at the time, super popular on TV.
Right.
Now, I will say this, not a single person ever entered a question. It was always my questions.
Sure.
I was answering myself.
Sure.
But it didn't look that way.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You got the content out, right?
Yeah.
Like you got exactly what you needed to get out, right?
And then Wednesdays were
people are
community.
asking the question. They're just afraid to ask it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, so it was like if I went out with a buyer and he said something to me, I'm like, there's a question, and I'm going to turn that into a blog post.
I'm so glad that you're making mention of that, Andrew, because that's the other thing that I tell realtors, mortgage brokers all the time. Like, they're like, what are we going to talk about? Guys, if you're out and about working, you get 10 questions a day. Just check your email.
Yeah.
Someone said, what's the closing costs?
Yeah.
Someone asked, when do I meet the lawyer? Someone asked, should I get a pre-approved? Like, there's so much content in your day, and you just need to maybe answer one of the questions, spread it out like you did on a daily basis, right?
And then do it in story format. So in the way of like for instance, the what is a bully offer one. Like I had a very quick, like, too long, didn't read, here's technically what it is.
Okay.
But then I actually told the story of like, okay, John and Sarah wanted to buy this house, but there was an offer date, and like I told it, and that's how I stretched it over 1,000 words. But now people can relate to it.
Right.
And then I started throwing jokes, and like I'd have running jokes throughout my blogs. Like for one Halloween, I did, and this was my second most popular post besides the bully offer, is top 10 top 10 tips for your kids to go door knocking this Halloween from a door knocking pro. And it was just like, but like the running joke of that was like, to find that elusive full-size candy bar. Right. Like you want that full-size Mars bar. I still want that. Exactly. You don't want the little ones like this big. You want that elusive one. So it was like top 10, and each one was tied into like, you do this, you can still get that, maybe that big one's on the next house.
Just don't give up. Make sure you knock on the 10th door. I love it.
And it got shared because like so many people were sharing it and finding it funny. So
well, as a parent, I would still read that, right? Like, where's this guy going with this? And
and those things that they worked well for me, and that was all written.
Right.
And it still showed it got like, even with a written blog where I'm not there, like all it had is in the photo of my website, or the banner of my website had my photo.
Right.
I had a few people who stopped me at like the farmer's market being like, you're the real estate blogger guy. And that's why video's great for the brand recognition. Like now if I go to a real estate conference, I'm way more likely to get recognized.
Yes, for sure.
But even without it, you can still get recognized and get that attention with just writing.
Yeah, and I think you got to start with what you're most comfortable with, like naturally comfortable with, right? Because video is tough. It is tough to start out and feel comfortable. Some people just have it right from the start. Some others, like I think I'm with you in that sense, where it took me a couple of episodes to feel comfortable, right? I love the lights. We have 3 cameras running. Yeah. And we had another guy walk in with another camera with his phone, and I love that now. Yeah. But I think if you're just thinking about starting out, start small. Yeah. You don't need all this tech that you and I have now.
Your phone,
selfie,
little gorilla
and
stand,
just little, and right here.
You're good to go, yeah. The biggest one's a mic. Get a little, like, the only reason I don't do, like, obviously, like, I couldn't travel with this setup here.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't do lapel mics is because of this.
Interesting.
And then you hear the slurping. So we did an episode like that, and it was just kind of like those couple ones where it's like, people get uncomfortable when you hear the word moist. This was like the audio representation of the word moist when people went to drink with a lapel mic right here. So I was like, all right, we're not going to do that. So I switched to the Rode shotgun mic for the next one. And I'm like, that worked out much better. There's always challenges, but at the end of the day, like if you want, just sit in a quiet office and film. Like,
And don't even overthink it. Like if your audio is bad for a little bit, but nobody's gonna really like call you out on that, right?
If they do, they're engaging.
Exactly, that's so true, right? There's some engagement, right? I totally agree for sure. Yeah.
So we do a lot of just like making it up as we go. Like, and this is not all my original stuff either. Like I've switched. Like I had a different camera originally.
Right.
It just randomly would shut off sometimes, so I had to get rid of it. The first episode you'll notice with Tim is it's filming, and then just out of nowhere, there's like a hard stop, and like the topic seems to change all of a sudden. Because my brother, who I brought to the first one, noticed that just randomly shut off because there's no noise in it. It just went black.
Yeah.
And that's why I flipped the screen around now so I can see.
Got it.
So it's just him flipping out the phone and holding like this.
So you cut to that?
Yeah. So I just edited them together. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, that was a DSLR.
Okay.
When he switched to the iPhone, the actual video quality was better.
I
Audio dropped a bit,
sure,
but the video quality was better. And that was super interesting. I'm like, that's a DSLR. Like, that is a very nice camera.
Exactly.
But now we switched to this because it's got like the big, because like some of our episodes go so long.
Right.
That like we had I think our longest we filmed 3 hours.
Wow.
Now we cut it down. Like I think the final episode was only just over 2.
What's your thoughts about that, man? And like what you put out on YouTube and Facebook, are you trying to hover around like a certain amount of time? Or you just, if it's an hour and a half, I put it out an hour and a half?
I cut the crap that isn't good, and whatever's left, it's left. If it's half an hour, it's half an hour. If it's 3 hours, it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, my kind of philosophy is, if it's good, people will watch.
I agree.
Plus, it gives me more micro content to pull out of it.
Yes.
So, I know coming into, the 3 hour one, no one's, very few people are watching the full 3 hours. Yeah. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I actually figured no one would ever watch a full hour episode. I'm surprised every time at how many people do.
Yes.
But the ability to pull that micro content out is the main reason I'm doing it. So, we just hired this woman on our team whose basically only job now is to go through and start pulling that stuff out.
I love it.
So she started a couple of weeks ago, and that's all she's doing now.
I love that you're saying this with my team here, because they know how much I drive home the point about micro content. So I'm glad that you're
It's
here as
huge.
well. Laura's here actually typing out a bunch of notes. It's all micro content.
So you got to use rev.com too.
Okay, rev.com, because that transcribes everything.
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
It's like
okay.
$1 per minute of
That's
video.
awesome.
It's
That's
awesome because
awesome.
then they
Okay.
can take that.
Yes.
And then it like shortens their workload from the sense of now they just get the bulk words. They can just take out, okay, now this bit, and now they have to clean it up.
Got it.
And then spend more time than crafting the rest
I
of it.
love it.
So that's what we started doing with our team too. I
Right.
mean, because of the longer form, it starts to add up the cost.
Sure it
'cause
does.
$1 a minute, well, a
Yep.
3-minute video, who cares?
Yes.
3 hours.
Yep.
It can add up.
Yeah. Do you do all your like post production yourself and stuff? And
Originally I did.
Yep.
I still do the auto because like that's a side thing with beer is sometimes people say things they normally wouldn't. Like I've had people say pretty hard RICO violations.
okay.
And I'm not here to embarrass anyone.
No.
Like, sure, I could get way more views putting
yeah.
that up.
Yeah.
So like I cut up, but I also didn't want to send that to someone to edit, so anyone else
Right.
even had control of the video.
Oh, good for you, Andrew.
So
Yeah.
there are scenarios like that
Yeah.
where I'll do the editing myself. So because it's single camera, right? Like
Yes.
it's literally just cut, add a few transitions, and add my intro. Like it's not a hard.
Yeah.
thing. But I got a guy in Romania right now who's like television producer for 20 years.
Oh, cool.
And I found him on Upwork. And so yeah, I flip it over to him, and he puts it all together for me. The only one thing is like now what I do, because with Facebook, like the worst thing agents do with videos is they start with their intro, and it's like 10, 15 seconds long. No one's cares about the intro, and now they're not going to get hooked. So like if you look at our stats, we generally are about 5 times the average watch time of like an average Facebook video.
Okay.
And it's because like we start with what I find is like what's the like funniest or most interesting clip to start the show.
Right.
Then the intro, then the rest of the show, because I want them to get hooked at that beginning part.
See, it's again so glad that you brought that up, because we were talking about the things that you learn as you go. We did the exact same thing. We had our intro, and it was probably my most exciting thing because it was my intro.
Yeah.
I cared about it so much, and I knew the team put so much effort into it.
Yeah.
And intro, we're talking from a musical perspective,
Yeah.
and that intro. That then we sat back after episode 8 and we're like, wow, not a lot of people are getting further into our videos because our intro is taking up so much time. So we got rid of that, pull out from the actual episode, and do exactly what you were saying.
Now I still keep the full 10-second intro.
Oh,
in
no,
it.
I do
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
but it's just after.
Yeah,
It's just
You have
after. It's
a
not the first
hook,
thing.
Intro
Yes.
and like people, I got a lot of good reviews on the intro,
Yeah.
which is great. And
Yeah.
it was only
I love it.
$100.
Yeah.
So it's good. But
Yeah.
there's been a lot of little things like that of figuring out. Like that's for me has been the hardest part of getting someone else to edit.
Right.
Is knowing which piece to put at the beginning. So that's where like when I have other people do it, because I've tested a few people editing episodes, and maybe I'm wrong, but I always felt that none of them picked the right clip compared to what I would have picked to get people. But it's also my understanding of the knowledge. So like I had someone else edit an episode where I had someone from Zillow on.
Okay.
And they like one of the questions I asked, like the first one, which is entirely just like a joke because of like how much crap they get in the industry, is how do you sleep at night? But I entirely did that question to get it for that beginning quote, because then like we both start laughing. It's a a good start to the episode.
Yeah.
But someone from Romania, obviously, like, and Christian, this is nothing against you, would just have no idea that like that's a thing, right? Because like even on the off chance he even knows what Zillow is,
exactly,
he would know it from a consumer side, which consumers love Zillow.
Why wouldn't they?
Like, so he would have no context around why that would be funny and should go first.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that makes sense. That's tough, right?
Yeah, and that's tough to find someone with like the marketing knowledge and that. So sometimes what I'll also do on the editing side is edit pieces out, then send it off to be polished.
Okay.
Because like the RICO violation thing,
yes,
as an example, I'll take that out,
yes,
then send the rest of the raw footage.
Yeah. So they don't even have a copy of it.
Yeah, and it's just there, it's gone, deleted. Because that's the big one. Is like I want people to trust that I'm not coming on to embarrass anyone.
Right.
Right?
Because you want them to come on again or want them to share
Even if
it.
There's no intention of them ever coming back.
Yeah. Still.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Exactly.
Like I'm not here to do gotcha journalism or something, right? This is not
the National Enquirer.
Yeah, like if I was Zillow, to me, I'm not here to like hit them hard. I'm here to have a conversation. Like, I'm just having fun
and put it out to your people. And that's about it. I totally agree. That's not
my position in the industry.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So how do you like when you're looking at for your podcast? When you're looking at like guests to bring on, topics to talk about, how has that evolved over time?
We originally started, again, just all real estate content. Yeah. And then we actually literally just me on a mic.
Yeah.
Talking about how to buy a home, closing costs, and home inspector. Then we said, okay, why don't we actually just bring on a home inspector? Bring on a real estate lawyer and have that discussion like we're having. And then at the end of season 1 was the big shift for us, which was essentially anything that myself, executive producer, or anyone on our team would say, oh, that would be cool to have that person on. We said, just have them on. And let's have a discussion. So it varies. We've had entrepreneurs who just started their business. Yep. And a personal trainer who just opened up a gym, and the ups and downs and the problems he's going through with entrepreneurship. Then went and just finished an episode with Gary Vee's trainer, actually, Jordan Syatt, who spoke about what little hacks you can do in training, in fitness and health if you're a very busy entrepreneur. We've had Phil Soper on a couple of times talking macro kind of real estate, like what's happening in the market, but also just how he leads such a large organization of 18,000 salespeople. I also had friends of mine that own Canada's largest auto group. And they own 8 dealerships now in the Greater Toronto area. I thought that would be kind of cool to have them on, right? Because it's Porsches and Acras and Lexuses. They have approximately 600 employees. What he had to say, I mean, he's learned a lot, right? Over the years, it's family run. And now we're going into, like, I'm going to be having a magician on. And I'm hoping to lock him up very soon, where he's going to be talking about, he was a war child from Sudan and did a TED Talk. And we're kind of in talks, so I'm hoping to has nothing to do with real estate, has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, but does have some stuff to do with leadership. Yeah. In a couple of weeks, I'm very excited to have a takeover of the podcast where a few grade 8 students are going to take over this room, this studio, and talk about their passion. Whatever it may be, and I'm kind of curious to see where this episode goes. I have no idea where this is going to go. Just to bring on some grade 8 kids and see what they might want to talk about. I'm going to post produce it, micro content it, write a blog about it, go like really, just like an actual episode. I'm going to do everything for them. I'm going to have my grade 8 teacher on soon. And talk about...
That's a good one. I should have mine on. I saw her on my honeymoon. We went out for a beer.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. So I've been emailing her back and forth, actually just literally this past weekend. And we're going to talk a little bit about, me being a student.
How were you as a student?
You're going to hear it there. But look, I'm glad that you asked it because I was never a good student. You know what it was, Andrew? It was never a passion of mine. I think at a very young age, I just knew that school was not something that I was going to pursue. In fact, I could tell because the only class that I focused on and really was gym. Yeah. And that was actually, and only even from a gym perspective, it was the 4 or 5 things in a year that I cared about. Soccer, basketball, and dodgeball. Yeah. All the other stuff, like even weightlifting, I was like, I don't want to go. And I tried to find, I was literally the kid that, teacher, can I go to the washroom and not come back? Yeah. And so I knew at a very young age that school and I weren't going to jive. Finished high school and was really trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I got into CIBC. Yeah. At that time, telephone banking was the big thing. It was just a great job I got into at that time because they really taught me phone skills. Because you would call and do your telephone banking, but then we would need to ask questions to see where else CIBC can fill some holes for you, i.e., a line of credit, a debt consolidation loan, a credit card, an investment. So I really learned sales skills, specifically phone skills. That's why we have the phone back here, because that was my roots. Yeah. And then I went into luxury car sales. And then 15 years ago, approximately, was real estate, man.
So how did you grow your real estate business early on?
It was all family and friends. Yeah. It was all family and friends, as well as the first home that I sold was someone that I sold a car to, and so I've always been that not pushy salesperson. Yeah. So I can't tell you we're in the thousands of clients now. If you can call any of them, I don't think any of them would ever say we're pushy. Yeah. Just not our style. I hate being pushed. So I'm buying a pair of shoes for $100, 100, $200, whatever it is. I don't even like being pushed to buy that. So I never had the audacity to push anyone when it came to spending thousands. I really am from the school of thought that the best salespeople are the ones that just make it easy for someone to buy. And it's simple things, right? Like, we ask a lot of questions. We always tell people, like, you can say no, right? Like, you don't need to buy or sell or invest. Here's why we think you should, one of the other, like one of the three, but you don't need to. And don't ever feel rushed. I think the one thing that out of my team, if I've ever heard, like while I walk around hearing them on the phones, if I hear one of them being pushy, that's where I kind of like tap them on the shoulder and say, we need to talk about this, because it's just not going to play out well in the long term. You might sell somebody and manipulate them and handle their objections and all that kind of stuff that you learn. And I think there's some merit to some of those trainings. However, if you're just that person that thinks long term and makes it easy for people to buy, you'll get the phone ringing always.
What point in your career did you go from starting out to having a team?
So this is 2019, and we did this about 7 years ago. 2012, we started to really build out the team.
And were you solo up until then?
Yes, I was solo up until then. Yeah, and then we built out a team slowly. 5 people and 10 people and 12 people, and now we're at 25 realtors and 10 staff, support staff. Yeah. So we have like the whole the media team, as well as client service manager. We have a director of concierge services, real estate concierge services. So if Andrew, even if he doesn't buy, sell, or invest with us, if you need a plumber in downtown Toronto, we've vetted out some plumbers, and we want essentially, and we tell our clients, like, I'm peeling back the curtains on our business development. I don't want you to call anyone. I want you to call us. Anything to do with buying, selling, or investing, or your home. Like, if you need a flooring person, we've vetted everyone out. And so that's when we went to the team model, which is great, right? Because I get to spend majority of my time spent here. I don't own a laptop. I got rid of the laptop about a year and a half ago.
How's that feel?
Best thing I ever did, man. Best thing I ever did. I did get a machine of a phone, like the Note 9, I think this is now, the most recent one, which allows me to do everything from the phone. I'm not one to write long emails. I've never been. And so if you look at my sent folder, I was showing my team a couple of days ago, a lot of it is, when's a good time to talk? What number can I call you on? And it's just like, you're just very simple, like, let's just get on the phone, because whatever it is, I'm going to put out, if it's a fire to put out, let me put out the fire. Or if it's just whatever questions you have, let me get the answers and get the right people in order.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what have you found is like the challenges have changed for you now that you're not just an agent doing sales and you're managing 30 plus people?
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenges facing you now?
I think the fact that I somewhat become kind of like a little bit of a mad scientist. Like, I have a lot of ideas that I want to execute on now. The podcast and the branding of our company has become my third child. I have 2 little boys, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. But the branding of REC has become a third child of mine, and it's really figuring out my core staff that's with me on a daily basis. A challenge is reverse engineering what they need and what they want, and so I do spend a lot of my time figuring out, like, what does Clem want now? And he started out, like, I really hire really quickly. Clem literally came into an interview. He spoke for 2 minutes. I was like, you're on board. Everybody else on my team was like, dude, you're not supposed to do it like that. Like, you're supposed to check his references. I was like, what am I going to do? Look at his resume. I don't know what the heck he's writing. Like, I've went for a job before.
I barely look at resumes when I'm hiring.
Right? Like, what does it really make sense, Andrew?
I actually asked, so the way I've been doing it is, one, I'll write like a fun job ad.
Okay.
And then at the end, I just bury at the bottom line. When you write your cover letter, besides telling us why you want to work for us, tell me the name of the Facebook group for real estate agents that we run.
Okay.
If you go to our website, below the fold is the first thing.
Okay.
If you go to our Facebook page, linked groups shows it. Like, if you email me, my signature, one of the pieces says, join our Facebook group.
Yep, seen it.
There's many different places to find our Facebook group, and it should not be hard. I'd say, like, so our last one we just hired, we had 112 applicants.
Okay.
Maybe 25 tried to answer the question.
Okay.
Half of them got it wrong, they just put like just sell homes. Some would put other groups I was in, but I was not my group.
Not your
just
group?
random groups I'm in. They'd be like, this one. I'd be like, no.
Nothing to do with me. I'm just in it. Anyways,
So like I went from 112 to 10 right away. Because like if you're
Love
being
it.
hired for a social media based position,
come on.
to know the difference between a Facebook page and a group,
Yes.
and like one person wrote, I couldn't find it. I'm not sure there actually is one. This must be a trick question.
Trick question, yeah.
I mean, like, it could not have been an easier one to find. Like, so right away you can dump
right.
so many, and like now I just interview them, and we've done. So like our last round, we actually hired 2 of them.
That's awesome.
So it was good.
Yeah, so in terms of like going back to kind of directly answering your question, it's finding the right people to put them in the right places.
Yeah.
There's a saying around here, around our office that we say all the time, just get on the bus, you'll find your place. What is interesting now is because I also, we help 650 buyers, sellers, and investors every year.
Yeah.
That's my large team. Okay. Out of that, myself, my partner, and kind of the support staff, we do approximately 200. Okay. I still run that whole department.
Yeah.
I just happen to do it from this desk. And so I'll do the initial meetings as well, like the initial consultations, the phone calls, as well as the offers. But when it comes to seeing the properties, I try not to leave here. And a lot of our transactions are with investors. Yeah. And so, as you know, if it's pre-construction or multiplex, they don't really need to see the property, right? In pre-construction, you're not going to see anything anyways. The challenge that I'm running into recently, and I'm so glad that you asked it, is time.
Yeah.
It's time, right? It's figuring out what time to give to my passion, my baby, my third child, the branding and the podcast and all that. But
the
never
fun stuff.
the fun stuff, right? It really is. Like, God bless my partner, Simeon, because he handles a lot of the stuff that takes more time, as well as it's just a little bit more of a hassle. The accounting and the legal, not the fun stuff. I love him for that.
My brother does that for me.
Yes,
It's
see,
great.
like, isn't it amazing? Because we get to do that.
Handing off even just like the HST
I'm hoping they don't see us with the beers and stuff.
Oh, no,
right?
he knows.
Yeah. And so, very lucky to have that. I mean, obviously, our people at home are just amazing. They hold everything down there. But yeah, that's a big challenge, right? Is the time. And look, I love meeting with people. In that first initial meeting, we got a testimonial that we just put out on Instagram, and it was so nice. Gentleman that's done investments with us for how long now, Laura? Like 5 years or something. Like 4 years ago, I think we met him. And over the weekend, he brought his daughter to buy her first investment property. And, there was 40 people in total. I think 20 people bought. So her buying, not that it got lost, like we knew who she was and we handled it with care, but he went home the next morning and wrote us like a 4-paragraph essay on what it meant to him as a father to watch his daughter go through her first investment property. And it, like, to a T, on everyone on our team, it almost put us in tears because it just reminded us, like, that's really the business we're in. Like, to make, because she's going to be that person that's going to say, I'm glad I did, and not I wish I had.
Yeah, exactly. And that's huge.
Huge, man, just to be part of that. And from the podcast perspective, it's nice to just get out to more people now, right? To be in North America and get some messages from guys in all over the States. Like, it's so cool what the internet allows for now, man. It's so cool.
Fun.
It's so much fun, right? Yeah.
So where do you see, like, now, like, where you guys are doing like $650 a year?
Yeah.
You got all the content coming.
Yeah.
How do you see that bringing you forward in like the next 4 or 5 years?
Look, I think shout out to number one in Royal LePage Canada, just an amazing person and an amazing team, Mark Ferris. But we're coming for you. No, he's just a great guy. But look, I'm a very, very competitive person. We want to be number one. And that is going to take a couple of hundred more transactions a year because Mark and his team are just amazing. To the Heaps team, who's number 2, congratulations to you guys as well. So we have some really stiff competition. There's people that I also know that are coming after us. Yeah. And so just from the perspective of bringing out more content, I think and I'm glad you said 4 to 5 years, because this is not like in 2020 we need to be number one. I want to do it right. I like having a lot of inbound coming in, and the inbound is coming in from our branding now. So 2018 was really a year of fixing up things for us. Because late 2017 there was a third partner who passed away, and so 2018 we spent a lot of time just making sure our team kept its core, and we didn't lose anyone, and so we were blessed not to lose one team member. And so I'm gonna say June of 18 is when we realized, okay, you know what, we're onto something. We're really, really onto something with this branding. And look, it's just gonna take longer because it's hard to monetize it.
Yeah.
Or what is the return? Where does it come from? You just don't know. We finished writing a book in 2018, and it's a free copy. We give it away as content.
Yep.
Everything we do is free. We do events here at our office, no cost to attend. So you never know where anyone's really coming from, right? It's the fact that there's a lot of noise around us, and good noise anyways.
Yeah. So now you have all this content. How do you go about promoting it?
That's what I'm really diving into this year. It's actually a good I'm glad that you're here, because we'll definitely talk about that, because I'm hoping I've stepped into the role of advertising, like doing some advertisements on Facebook and Instagram, starting to look at pre-roll YouTube and stuff. I haven't really dove into that, but I haven't spent a lot of money, man, and I want to. I really want to.
It doesn't cost much.
I know.
I think now we spend $100 per episode for week 1.
Okay.
And then we just have a $10 a day budget that just rotates through past episodes.
Okay.
And that's it. So
$10 a day budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically what it is I don't know if how familiar you are with the ads manager in the back end.
No.
So we have one campaign called ongoing over Pint promo.
Okay.
One ad set, which is just every agent in Canada.
And you're sending them to?
And then the ad level of that ad set is every single episode that's ever aired.
Okay.
So they take that $10 a day and rotate it through those episodes. And I turn different episodes on and off at any given time. So right now of the 30-something episodes, maybe only 7 are on that, being split on that $10 a day.
How do you choose?
It's just
what do you feel like? Kind of thing? Okay, I like that.
So there's variations. Sometimes it's just this one's been doing really well lately. I'll keep that one on. This one hasn't had anything in a while. I'll throw that on. If I'm going to speak at a Royal LePage event, I'll make sure the Phil Soper episode's up, right?
Got it.
There's a little bit of what's coming up in my schedule, which people having me associated with helps more. So I'll do a little bit of that. But no, mostly it's just look at the numbers, take the best performing ones.
Right.
Have those running.
Yeah.
And then the one so I did one at our planning session last year with my team. And that's it blew up as by far our best episode.
Because that was kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah, at the time it was 5 of us.
Okay.
And it got up the fastest we ever got to 50,000 views. Now it's 80 or 90, 50 shares. I don't even know who's sharing it. I'm who's sharing this video of me talking to my team? We have 50 of them. It's the weirdest.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but it's been huge. And
are you primarily focusing just on Facebook?
Majority is Facebook.
Okay.
We do put them all up on YouTube.
Right.
But we don't. So the one I just hired, she has a bit more of a background in YouTube because she has a music career too. So she does a lot on YouTube.
Okay.
So for that, now she's kind of revamped our YouTube lately.
Okay.
But we've never put a big focus on it. But I think that's going to change. I think YouTube and LinkedIn are going to be some pushes we make this year.
Okay. So I'm glad that we're talking about this because we're really at the stage of I wanted to get the content and be comfortable with the content and get it out, see what can happen organically, make sure that even what I'm doing, people want to see my face or they want to hear it, right? I'm definitely now at okay, let's put the pedal to the metal, so to speak, and let's really amp this up by putting dollars behind it. So I'm going to try your strategy, man, if you're okay with that.
Oh, go for it.
Okay,
I
good.
can even give you a little quick demo of it if you need some time.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
But that's what we do. So it's that quick initial boost.
Okay.
And then we rotate through kind of the greatest hits.
Got it. And it's always playing on the Facebook platform.
Yeah, that's where we push most of the views.
Okay.
Because that's where people can engage. Plus, just because like that's where most real estate agents spend their time. Like if they all spent their time on LinkedIn, I'd be pushing it on LinkedIn. If they spent their time elsewhere, like I personally love Twitter, but not enough people spend time on there to make it worth me pushing out content. So my Twitter is almost entirely personal.
So here's where it might get a little confusing from my perspective, because I'm not really going after buyers all the time or investors. It's really just going after the brand. Like I really just want to up the brand. So what would you advise there?
So you look at the episode itself.
Got it.
So who's the guest?
Yeah.
Who cares about them? Because really, like, part of the reason you're bringing on a guest is not just they're interesting to talk to. It's also the side of how does me being associated with them help elevate me and bring in more viewers, right? So having me on, that's more the real estate industry. So you'd promote this one to agents.
Yes.
Right? And then so you can almost use a whole, like, it's almost like a recruiting thing of helping push that way.
Yep.
Whereas if you have say my buddy who's on the bakery.
Yes.
So the episode with him, I promoted it to agents.
Right.
I also for him promoted a ton locally.
Just in the community.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then you have the gym owner coming on type of thing. Like put that to people interested in things around that gym stuff who are local too. So you now start basing the targeting on who's on.
See, that's the other challenge I have, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many balls up there. Yeah. That's the one that I haven't really been able to juggle properly.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit.
But you gave me some clarity there. I like that.
Yeah, you just got to figure out who the people are on the individual guests, who would be interested in that, then hit them.
See, to any newbies watching or listening, this is what happens. You sit down with somebody, you
figure
collab, you figure it out, you ask some questions. It's really that simple. Like, I'm so glad they got to see it all in action.
I know.
Right?
We did so much prep work, so much work.
I know. Like,
to
we
show
made sure
up
we had
for
all
this.
these notes written down. Like, you brought some beer and that's it. I loved it.
The longest part of the prep was what beer looks like it might work.
So what did you really think about this?
Yeah, it was good.
I liked it.
Yeah, no,
I liked
worked
it.
out well.
Like, this is one that really the way that I gauge it myself, and I'm by no means a beer connoisseur, but is if I would have another one now. Like, could I have a second one? But for sure, I would enjoy a second.
I did bring more, but not this kind.
I love their logo. Actually.
No, they did a great job. Like, nice little. Yeah. Basically, they went mafia style, the family edition.
The boss.
Yeah.
Syndicate. What a good pick. Smart. Like, just from watching who you're and looking at who you're going to be speaking with, and then tying it together. Just so smart,
it doesn't always work.
Obviously not.
Sometimes it works, and other times, But no, like when I saw it, I was like, Syndicate, perfect. Yeah. I mean, maybe I should have saved that for Jason.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Fraser. Sorry, buddy. So, what's some of your challenges that you're going through now, man?
So our biggest issue is agents converting leads.
Okay.
Because once in a while, some turnover is we don't get the right results because new markets, sometimes it varies. Mm-hmm. But 90% of our turnover is agents just not converting the leads we're sending them. So our biggest challenge is how can we eliminate that? Because no matter what, we know a lot of agents just don't make the calls or don't make them in a timely manner, things like that. So we can send you hundreds of leads a month, but if you're not making calls, it's useless.
For sure.
So it's trying to figure out what can we do there. Mm-hmm. So that's business wise, that's kind of the nut we're trying to crack right now. Of how can we take as much of that off their plate or give them the resources to make it easier for them. And then for me, the challenge is also now how can I take myself out of as many roles as I can? So right now we don't have anyone in sales. Right. So I'm in the process of hiring for that right now. So we're kind of in the final back and forth with one person. I think if it works out, it'll be really good. But really, because right now I'm the only salesperson. Right. And when I have a set of ads that I run to book sales calls, and I can book sales calls for $6 to $8. For every $6 or $8 I spend, I can book a sales call. Mm-hmm. And when I run the ROI on that, we're at 38,000%. It's an insanely good one. Yeah. But because I'm the only one who can take them, say 3 weeks ago I ran that ad, the first call you would have been to book in my calendar was this week. Okay. I can't run an ad where you can't book for 3 weeks. Right. Now I'm back in town until the end of the month, then I go to Miami and Orlando. Mm-hmm. But until then, I can, in theory now, turn the ads back on because I'm actually around to take these calls. But without being around to take the calls, I can't. So if I have someone who can take them, I can just pump those ads out all the time.
And how is that going, hiring a salesperson?
It's tough because like it's the weird subsection of like they have to understand marketing and Facebook ads to talk intelligently. Because like our biggest challenge in the sales side is actually talking people out of hiring us because so many people, it's not the right fit for their business.
Why?
Because they like, if your business has been referral your entire career and you've been in business 20 years, you're not going to handle an online lead.
Exactly. It's just not going to be good enough for you.
If you came up on the phones,
Yeah.
you'll be good.
Yeah.
If you have a good follow-up system in place, like if you have experience with online leads, but if you've never called an online lead before and your entire business was like, my mom bought and then I got a signed call and I got another listing and then it snowballed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, generally speaking, is not going to be someone who does
You'll get
well with
frustrated
it.
after day one.
Yeah. And like one of the things we offer is you can send us one listing at a time and we'll advertise it. Because we can get anywhere, like listing to listing, it can change, but anywhere from like 10 to 40 leads a listing for like $50 an ad spend.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but for us, it's a way to test this out. It's not it's not a loss. Like we don't lose money on it, but we don't make money on it.
Got it.
Like it's my team gets their salaries covered.
Right.
I get to see how people respond to leads. And then what we can do is like, okay, test this out, see if you like calling those leads.
Right.
And then we'll talk after. So like that's why we introduced that as like a wick. Because like so many companies, it's like not only can you not try them out, you have to commit for a year.
Yeah, it's true.
So we're like, it's a week.
It's a
Try it out for a week, and then if you do sign up, it's 30 days notice to cancel.
It's so smart, right? It's like how the shopping network, like, buy it and you can return it. There's the money back guarantee, and there's reasons that those work. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, because it really is kind of a like no brainer in that sense. Yeah.
And then we're like eventually going to switch, like 5 years, like we want to switch to the point where like we can basically control front to back, like website, CRM, and all the marketing. Okay. Because that's one of the issues we have now of like, we send someone to their website.
Yes.
We have no control how that converts. So we have to build our own standalone landing page.
Okay.
But it'd be better if that was on their site.
Yes.
But then we can't control it again. So like, and then the CRM, like everyone has a different one, and we start going into that one, and connections break, and there's issues. Whereas if we controlled the entire process, we'll do that. And then move everyone else who can't afford like the higher end stuff. We just, beginning of January, launched a membership group. So it's basically like an online mastermind where we help them. So it's like, here you can come in, we'll do a monthly Q&A with our entire team. So you can jump in, ask us any questions you want anytime. You can post in the group. We bring in monthly experts. Like month one, we had the top Facebook ads guy in the world.
Okay.
Another woman who's like the queen of social media from an organic standpoint come in. This month we have Phil Jones, who's like one of the biggest sales experts out there.
Okay.
We just keep bringing in guest experts. We write an ad for the group every month. So they just take it and run it themselves.
If there's any value that I could ever bring you, Andrew, like I'm more than happy to do that. It could be something from a sales 101 perspective to a content perspective. I mean, not that you don't know what you're doing from that perspective, but if you needed a new fresh face, to
it might be interesting
building.
if you want. I do a conference every July.
Okay.
So it's up in Collingwood.
Okay.
So the only downside of it for speakers is we don't pay because it's for charity.
Got it.
So we've raised, the first 2 years we raised just shy of $12,000 for a women's shelter.
If it's not part of Canada Day weekend, I'm in.
We're waiting to get the contract back from the venue, assuming there's nothing weird in it.
Done.
It'll be July 10th.
Tell me what I can do, and what charity is it with?
So this year we're actually moving away from the shelter.
Okay.
And it'll depend on how much we raise. So the first bit of it, I've been talking to her a bit on the side, but there's an agent who has this son who needs a specialty wheelchair. The specialty wheelchair is $10,000.
Okay.
She had raised a lot of that already, so we're going to take the proceeds and cover whatever the shortfall there is for her.
Perfect.
So then it'll just depend on what's left, and we're trying to nail down what the new charity will be this year.
Just get at me, and I'm definitely in. Canada Day weekend is just a special weekend from a family perspective. I'm tied up.
Don't do any long weekends.
That's good. But I would love to do whatever value I can bring.
Yeah, it'll be good. Sure. So we're going to do that. So that's the main day, and then we do kind of, it's not quite invite only. I mean, the invite goes out to our private group first, and they get a discounted rate, but a mastermind the day before. So, like, one of the most valuable things for my business came from a marketing group I'm in.
Okay.
And 4 times a year, we do in-person meetups.
Yeah.
But what it does, there's no agenda.
Okay.
There's just, like, a table like this, like this U shape.
Yeah.
We're all sitting around it. The guy who leads it stands at the front with a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I'll just start here and go, what's the biggest challenge in your business?
Love it.
we'll write it down.
No
and we
brainer.
just go until no one has anything left to say.
So cool.
And that becomes the agenda of we
Yeah.
just start at the top
Yeah.
and just start crossing things off for people.
Love it.
And so we did that last year and it worked really well. What I want to do this year, we're just trying to figure out logistically how to do it, is splitting the group out. Because we had like 40 people do it.
Oh, okay,
which
that
is-
gets big, eh?
It's too many people plus too many different places in their business. Because like a team leader versus someone who's a year in,
Yes.
very different challenges.
Yes.
So some people just like some of the feedback overwhelmingly positive, but a couple of people were like, those parts that weren't relevant to me, I don't need to listen to this part about how to hire an assistant.
Right.
Because I'm nowhere near that.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what we're looking at maybe doing this year is splitting up. So like take solo agents as one track, team leaders as another track.
Sure. Or even
and
maybe
that
like go
route.
1 to 5 years. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like 1 to 5 years and then go 5 to 10 or something like that, and then split it up like that. You might get some value, right?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure that out right now, exactly how that other day will work.
Yeah.
But basically, that'll be like we'll do that first day. Then there'll be a big like networking event the night.
Yeah.
And then we'll all
Look,
do the big
man,
conference
I
the next
really
day.
like your energy. I like what you're doing online. If there's any value, like I said, I can bring, I'm so down for that.
Sounds good.
For sure, man.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you, find out anything,
Yeah, look, I think the best thing to do is go to our website at recexperience.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Jas, that's JASTAKHAR 13, so the number 13, and that's on Instagram, and that's really the best way to get a hold of us, man.
Perfect.
Very
Well,
easy.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank
on.
you, buddy. Thanks for the
Appreciate
beer. I
Well,
appreciate it.
anytime.
Thanks a lot.
It's a good time.
Thanks. Cheers.
Great. Cheers.
We're almost done. There you go.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jas Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the REC Experience. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Click here to watch and experience more videos from REC.